everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raeschelle. If you're new here, I usually make new videos every single Wednesday about motherhood and lifestyle. I said usually because I didn't post a video last week because everything has just been so incredibly hectic and crazy because we moved to Hawaii. Like many of you know, if you are a current subscriber, my husband is in the military and we recently got orders to PCS to Hawaii. And if you're not in the military and you're unfamiliar with the term, PCS means permanent change of station. I was living in North Carolina with my mom just while my husband was away for the military since we couldn't really be with him. So my daughter and I decided to spend some time with my mom while we waited for our orders to move here together as a family. We just got here last Thursday, which is why I didn't post a video on Wednesday because as you can imagine, everything was so crazy with packing and getting everything ready to travel on a 13-hour plane ride with my 1-year-old daughter. So today I'm just going to be sharing with you guys some of our updates and some of the stuff that we've had to do during our PCSing process and just share with you what's been going on with us in general. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. Last week on Thursday and today is Tuesday, and we obviously don't have a house right now, so we're staying in a hotel. I did just have our housing appointment today, like not even an hour ago, and we got offered a house, but we got offered 3 different choices and we picked one of them today, and I'm so excited. Our move-in date is November 18th and today is October 6th, so we do still have lots of time until we actually get into the house, but honestly, it works out perfectly because our household goods, which was everything that the movers packed up for our house, those won't arrive until November 15th. So a couple days before we move into our house, which it's perfect. We are going to be stuck here in a hotel for until then, which obviously is not fun when you have a 1-year-old. But it is what it is. So the housing process was actually very easy, and basically what they did was took all of our information and kind of went through checking on the boxes with us, so to speak, and then they sent our information over to a leasing agent with the actual Navy housing community. So my daughter and I went to the appointment today while my husband was at work, but we were able to FaceTime him, and basically we told her what we wanted, and even though it's only 3 of us, so my husband, me, and then my daughter, we only were eligible for a 2-bedroom, which honestly I do not want a 2-bedroom. Like, that's too small for me in my opinion, and we have tons of furniture. She's pooping. We definitely wanted to have a 3rd bedroom so that way we can kind of explore our options and having another child soon. So we didn't want to have to like get stuck in the 2-bedroom and then have to end up moving once I do get pregnant. So luckily we were offered 3-bedroom homes. One of them was a full BAH home, which means all the money that the military gives us for housing, they were just going to take all of it. And then the other 2 houses were like not full BAH homes, so they were like money saver homes, which I kind of expected them to be really crappy since they were cheaper. But honestly, when I drove through the neighborhood, those 2 houses that were money saver homes were way better than the full BAH house. The full BAH house was a little bit bigger, but honestly the neighborhood, like, it looked kind of trashy. And obviously, you know, I want to live in like a nice, decent place with my daughter. So once I drove through the 2nd neighborhood and we got to see both of the houses that were in that neighborhood, I was on FaceTime with my husband. And so one of the houses that we offered, we both really liked. And so we ended up texting the housing agent and we accepted it. So now pretty much all we have to do is wait for the house to actually be available so that way we can move into it. So one of the very first things that we had to do was ship my vehicle. The military will send 1 vehicle per family when you're like PCSing or whatever. So we ended up shipping my car, and that's supposed to get here. It said it's supposed to get here by November 8th, but I've heard a lot of people say that it gets here sooner. Yeah, so basically my husband went inside with all the paperwork that we had already pre-filled out, which was listed on their website. And he went in, he did all of the paperwork with the like the clerk or whatever, and then we had a worker come out and actually do a visual inspection of the car, and he had to check to make sure that there was less than a 1/4 tank of gas, and he also had to make sure that the car was clean and that it had like no, like if there were defects then he had to like mark it to make sure that like we couldn't go back and say like, oh, they damaged our car, which obviously we wouldn't do anyway, but you know, they have to cover their tracks. And yeah, so that's one of the things that they had to do. And once he did his inspection of the car, then my husband and him went and they did a very thorough inspection of the car, inside, outside, everything. And they were actually really strict with the car. Like, we cleaned it out like super good the night before. We vacuumed it like 4 or 5 times. We washed it like 3 or 4 times. I actually stopped at the car wash again the morning of when we were on our way there, just to make sure that it was actually like super clean and that they wouldn't turn us away. But once they got there and they actually looked at the car and did all the paperwork, everything went smoothly, everything went fine. We did hit a small road bump with the gas because it's supposed to be less than 1/4 of a tank. Like, the needle was touching the quarter tank line, but it was like just above it. And yeah, they wouldn't accept it. So we had to drive the car around and make sure that it was actually under 1/4 of a tank, so that way they accept it. But that was the only road bump that we hit, and that was relatively easy to like fix and overcome and have them take the car. So right now the car is in San Diego, and what they did was they put it on a truck, drove it across the country, and now it's in San Diego waiting to go on a boat to ship it over here to Hawaii. Also, one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys was the PCS binder that I put together. All I did was kind of print off this cute little design from a website that I use. So I just printed off and it says Hawaii on it. And then on the inside of it is where we kept all the important documents and everything that we needed for the trip. So right here I have my training record from my old job. So I have that, and then just some like, these are passport documents that I needed that I never filled out. And then in this pouch I have 2 pens, and then my vehicle registration ended up in there, my passport, and then me and my daughter's passport pictures, because I need to get our passport pictures done, or I mean our passports done, and I haven't done that yet, which is why I have the paperwork still not filled out. And then here I have a bunch of pages of to-do list, and then behind the to-do list I have expense tracking sheets. So these right here, it just kind of tells us what we have to pay for, the date that we paid for it, the amount, and if we were reimbursed by the military or not. So that way we can keep track of everything and make sure that we are getting reimbursed for the stuff that we're supposed to be getting reimbursed for. Here I have a calendar, which as you can see, I need to change because it's no longer September. So I have that in there. And then in the next section, I have copies of his orders that we needed. I'm not going to show them because I don't think that I'm like allowed to, but we have all the copies of the orders here in those pages. I have multiple copies, so those are all in there. And then right here, this is everything that has to do with our vehicle. I don't live at that address anymore, so whatever. I don't really care if you guys see it or not, but this was all the stuff that we needed, that we used for our car. Like I said, they were very strict, and so they went through and they literally marked every single ding, every single nick, everything that was on the car that was going to be that was already on the car before they shipped it. So that way, like I said, we can't try to say that they damaged our car, even though obviously. And then this right here was just some like more forms for the car, our registration. And then everything in this folder is everything that we use for housing. So we have all of our household good, like descriptions of everything, and all the household good paperwork that they gave us when they picked up our shipment. So that's all of that paperwork. And then we have like our housing applications right there. And then back here in this last section, we have all of our important documents. So those are like the power of attorney that we needed, our marriage license, our marriage license, marriage certificate, our social security cards, immunization records, all the important documents like that are going to be in that section. And then everything for our travel. So this includes, not the power of attorney. This includes like our hotel reservations, and our flight itineraries would have been in this section as well, but we didn't get our flights until midnight of the morning that we were supposed to leave. So we got them at midnight on Thursday morning, and then we left at 6 a.m. that same day. So those never were able to make it into the binder, but if it was soon enough, then that's where they would have been. So that's the binder, and everything really came in handy, and it was nice and neat and organized, and honestly it was such a lifesaver. So if you guys are PCSing, then this is something that I highly recommend that you put together, and it really didn't take that much time and effort to do. It's really simple, and like I said, it helped out a ton. So when we came on the plane, we had a total of 15 bags. So we had some totes, which were like the big 27-gallon totes that we got from like Home Depot. We had those, and then we also had some luggages. A lot of people end up taking totes because it's cheaper, like per tote it was like 13 bucks. So it's a lot cheaper to buy totes than to buy extra luggage, which can cost anywhere from like $100 or $200 per set. So I already had one full set of luggage, and then I had, my husband had like just one of the big luggages. So we used all 4 of those, and then we had the totes, and yeah, like the car seat and everything like that. And so we ended up with 15 checked bags, and it was absolute madness. So these are the totes that I was referring to. They're 27-gallon totes, and I just wrote our name on it and on the top of it as well. And then we also were able to zip tie them closed so that way the tops wouldn't open when they were being transported. We also have some more up there, and then also just some like extra diapers, and then that was the other luggage that we had, and then our car seat bag. We just kind of have that stuff up there just for extra storage because our room that we have is very, very small. So here's kind of like a quick glance at our room. As you can see, it is pretty small. But honestly, it's not that bad. I expected it to be a lot crappier than it is. Obviously, I know it's not perfect. It's not super clean because it's very hard to keep stuff clean when I have a little minion running around destroying everything at every single moment. We have like trash right there that we need to get taken out. But, I mean, it's doing the job for all intents and purposes. So this is our little room. We have the bathroom. They gave us a fan, which is nice. We bought a little pop-up hamper for our dirty clothes. And we have my husband's sea bags and the dirty linens that they need to take from us. And yeah, so this is the room. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it does the job. We have a nice little patio out here. Me and my husband come and sit out here every single night. That's why we have our little drinks out there. And that's the view, just lots of trees. And yeah, this is just our little room that we are gonna be staying in for the next month and a half. Daughter's pack and play right here, and I have her toys in it right now. I keep the toys in there during the day, and then at night I just take all the toys out and then she sleeps in there. Right now my daughter is sick. She has a little bit of a cold. I don't know why, but every single time like we take her swimming, she ends up getting a cold, and then of course whenever she gets a cold, she passes it on to me. So I'm a little sick as well, but she's pretty much getting over it. But yeah, so if you guys, it's always when she goes in water, and I don't understand why. Like the first time when we were out of town, we went to Maine and she went swimming and she got a cold. And now like we're here in Hawaii, we took her to the beach and she got a cold. So if you guys have any like advice or solutions as to why she keeps getting colds when she goes into a pool, or like things that we can do to avoid her catching a cold when she goes into a pool, please let me know in the comments below, because I obviously don't want my little baby to keep getting colds, but I also want her to keep enjoying swimming and playing in water because she loves it. I called the housing agent today and told her that we officially wanted to accept the house that we were offered today. So I went and drove over there after the appointment to look at the house and see what it looked like in person, because we weren't able to like see it in person with her. So at least I was able to drive past it. And honestly, the neighborhood, it looked really decent, and you know, it seemed like a good house, seemed like a good fit for our family. So right now I'm just waiting for my husband to get off of work so that way I can take him over there so that way he can see it in person as well. And then there's my little minion playing with the bag of chips that she found that she's not supposed to have. Thank you. I know this isn't like my usual type of content, but I did just want to kind of make this video just to update you guys and just to kind of document it for myself as well. And then I promise you, like, hopefully next week and like the next couple weeks, everything will be back on track and I will start making like more of the content that I normally make. Alright you guys, so thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I do put out new videos every single Wednesday about motherhood and lifestyle. And I would love to have you guys following along with us on our journey. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!